minutes after the hour, America. It's Hugh Hewitt, and I am so pleased to welcome back United States Senator Tom Cotton from the great state of Arkansas. But I must tell you, Senator Cotton, welcome. It's good to talk to you as always.
Hey, Hugh. Great to be on with you as always.
We, the fetching Mrs. Hewitt saw a picture of Gabriel that you posted on Twitter, and she's offering to babysit now. That is one cute baby, so we think he favors his mother.
Well, I certainly hope that he favors his mother in more than one way. I have to say that I disrupted his naps both on Friday and Sunday afternoon, first watching Derrick Rose's shot give the Bulls a 2-1 lead, and then watching LeBron James' shot bring it back tied. So I was rocking him on both occasions, and nearly jumped out of the chair. And then I thought, I wonder which caused Hugh to have a heart attack more readily.
I saw the Rose shot.
The win.
I saw the Rose shot live. I was flying and did not have wireless when LeBron actually won the series. I know there's still some games to play, but LeBron won the series yesterday. Senator Cotton.
Yeah, I guess you have to. I mean, you do have to say that the LeBron shot seemed to be more about skill than luck on the 25-foot banker from Derrick Rose.
And we had to win that game, and now they'll go back and crush him. And we'll beat the Wizards. You're not a Wizards fan, are you, Senator?
No.
Okay, good. You've got to root for Cleveland as we get closer here. Hey, my sympathies to your people in Arkansas. They had a rough weather day yesterday. They got a rough weather day today. In fact, all across the United States. But people killed in Texas and Arkansas, and scores are injured. And I know it's that time of the year, but our thoughts are with them. And we're adding an affiliate soon in Little Rock, and I'm very excited about that, so we can talk to them live. But I really, I'm sure your phone rang off the hook all weekend, and I want to give you just an uninterrupted 3-4 minutes, whatever you need, to explain to people why a 98-1 vote occurred last week on Corker Cardin, the Iran sanctions bill, and the one was Tom Cotton. Why did you vote against that bill?
Hugh, I fear that the legislation the Senate passed last week gives the illusion of congressional oversight and restraint on President Obama's very dangerous nuclear negotiations with Iran without giving the reality of it. It's not an issue of Bob Corker or Ben Cardin or Bob Menendez reducing the oversight. It's a matter of President Obama turning the Constitution on its head. A nuclear arms agreement, specifically one with a Islamist terrorist sponsoring regime in Iran, should be submitted as a treaty, and it should require a 2/3 vote of the Senate to ratify the treaty. Instead, this legislation allows the president to enter into the agreement. It restrains him from removing sanctions, but only for 30 days. It requires the Senate to get 60 votes to send a resolution of disapproval to his desk, which he will then, of course, veto, and then it would require 67 votes to uphold or override that veto, meaning that rather than getting 67 votes to ratify his dangerous nuclear proposal with Iran, he only has to get a bare sliver of 34 senators to protect his dangerous deal. So the president is the one who has turned the Constitution on its head, and I just fear that this legislation, because it encourages the Democrats to obstruct and stand by the president, no matter the content of the deal, as 150 Democrats in the House wrote they would on Thursday, the president will be able to claim that Congress, under a bipartisan process that was established in advance, has blessed his nuclear deal, and that will be the takeaway for our country, for Iran, for our allies, and for history.
Now, I'm very comfortable with your vote. I probably would have voted the same way. I always put myself in the same position, and it's interesting to be talking to you today. 75 years ago today, Winston Churchill became Prime Minister of Great Britain after Germany, which broke every treaty it ever signed, invaded Belgium and Holland, breaking more treaties along the way, and the Chamberlain government fell after a series of increasingly harsh reminders that reality is very, very hard when you run into it. And that's what I think the no vote was, which is the reality here is that we're allowing Iran to become a nuclear power. On the other hand, I wanted to understand the other side, and here's the best case that I heard put forward, and that is he's going to do it anyway, and at least this puts 90-day escape hatches for the next president. All he has to do or she has to do is verify noncompliance, and we're out. I think I know the rebuttal to that, but what's your rebuttal to that, Tom Cotton?
At the moment,
this legislation does require the president, this president or the next president, to certify every 90 days a series of compliance measures related to a nuclear deal with Iran. I would say a few things. First, the objective is to kill the dangerous deal before it goes forward, not to get reports on it after the fact. Second, Congress could easily pass a similar bill after a deal is consummated, that would require exactly those reports. I think that would pass with a overwhelming majority. Third, this president, in my mind, will never find a violation of his deal with Iran. So I think those 90-day reports are largely meaningless, at least under this president. After all, it was relatively widely known in published reports in the press that Russia was violating the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty as far back as 2008, yet the president still pushed through the New START Treaty in 2010 without disclosing those violations. The next president doesn't need those 90-day certification reports if, as I hope, that president is committed to rescinding the deal with Iran. He can simply do that as a matter of his executive authority if the Congress hasn't ratified this to begin with. So those would be my responses to the argument that this bill creates 90-day reports, which is true and valid and something that doesn't currently exist in law. I just don't think that's enough to offset the risk that we are allowing the president to claim that Congress blessed his deal or creating a new kind of constitutional precedent that turns the treaty clause on its head.
I think I agree with you, and I'm hoping actually you carry the Republican caucus with you on this, Senator Cotton. Today, late in the afternoon, in the New York Times, there's a story that says Persian Gulf allies confront crisis of confidence in the United States. And it's about the fact that yesterday King Salman of Saudi Arabia announced he's not even going to these Camp David meetings that the president is throwing together in an attempt to patch up our falling apart alliance with the Sunni establishmentarian states. Do you think that if the House pushes a little bit, or if Senator Corker or the Republicans pushed harder, that we could actually stop this deal and stop the arming of Iran by means of the traditional alliances we've had in the region, on the one side with Egypt and Saudi Arabia, on the other side with Israel?
Hugh, I certainly am dedicated not to passing any particular piece of legislation, but to stopping a dangerous deal from going forward. Now, that may mean passing legislation. That may mean giving speeches to highlight the danger. But I am dedicated to doing everything I can in my power with Republicans and Democrats alike who don't agree with the president to stopping a dangerous deal from going forward. The news from the Gulf is remarkable. You have the 6 Gulf Coordinating Council states, Kuwait, Qatar, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Oman, invited to a summit at Camp David by the United States president, and only 2 of them are sending their heads of state. It goes to show just how far and wide the displeasure with this president runs among our traditional partners in the Middle East.
Senator Tom Cotton, always good to talk to you. Thank you, Senator. I'll be right back. America on the Hugh Hewitt Show.